Hey everybody, it's Eddie Ift, and we're about to start this episode of the Wadcast podcast with my guest, Doug Chapman. If you are new to CrossFit and you're not familiar with Doug Chapman, that's your fault. Get acquainted, figure out who he is, or just listen to this episode because we kind of get into it. But Doug's one of the OGs. He's been around since practically the beginning of CrossFit. He is the owner of the HyperFit affiliate in Michigan. I stopped by his place in Ann Arbor we're right outside of Ann Arbor. I don't know where I was. It's Michigan. It's scary. There's lots of militia there. It's lots of cold. I don't know what's going on. But I got to go over to Doug's house. He welcomed me in, and we did this interview. And the guy has not only coached some of the top athletes in the CrossFit Games, people from Julie Foucher, China Cho, Neil Maddox, Brooke Wells, Nick Uranker. I mean, you name it. They've all kind of gone through him. And you know, the guy's got some knowledge that's unbelievable. He's certified up to the hilt with, you name it, L1s, L2s, kettlebells, weightlifting, gymnastics, mobility, powerlifting, CrossFit powerlifting, pose running. The guy knows his shit. That's all I'm saying. And he sat down with me in his kitchen and talked to me all about CrossFit. I wish we recorded everything, but we couldn't. So we had an off-the-record conversation. We had an on-the-record conversation. And we got to know each other way before we even put on the headphones and went to work. But we got a lot of good stuff that you're going to be able to take from this. And he showed me around his facility there that he has at his house where he's training people. He's a former wrestling coach. I'll get all into that. Why am I going to tell you everything now? This is not the time to tell you that stuff. But that's what the episode's with. It's Doug Chapman. I mean, OG, man. Come on. So get with it. I want to thank all you guys who listen to the show and continue to listen and stick with it. Our numbers are great. I was worried when Scott and Armin left that we would lose a lot of you. And you guys, I don't know why you're sticking around. It's me, remember? Eddie, the idiot, the one you guys all shit on. I guess a few of you left that shit on me because you're not shitting on me anymore. If you want to, go ahead. It's wadcastpodcast@yahoo.com, or you can go right on our Facebook site, or we have an Instagram site now. It is Wadcast Podcast, @Wadcast Podcast. We lost the other one. That became another site. It's a long story. Wish we still had it, but we do not. So it's @Wadcast Podcast is the Instagram. If you're not on it, get on it because that's where we post everything now. And if you are a Patreon member, and when I say Patreon, the way you do that, you go to wadcastpodcast.com. You donate like $5 a month. That's it. $5. I get you at least 4 episodes per month. And that's $1 an episode, pretty much. A little more than $1 an episode. And you get to all these brilliant genius episodes. No, they're not genius. I ask questions and these guys express their genius. But you get them, you get to listen to them, and you also get the video versions that are on Patreon, that are on our YouTube. Having a little issues with that. Anybody want to contact me and say, hey man, I can help you out with that. I'll take some advice. I'll take some help. I'm doing a lot of this myself now. So could use some production help. Machete's there with me sometimes, but I'm on the road constantly. So it's difficult to do because I'm just sending everything in. This is basically a virtual show now. And that's why I'm able to get a lot of these great guests. I have coming up, I've got Kelly Starrett, Brian McKenzie, Dr. Jason Worsland from Theragun. I've got some really, really cool guests. And it's great because I travel, I go to different towns, and I get to interview all these people. So coming up, I've got some good dates. If you want to come out and see me live, it's a great way to see me is come to, let's see, this week I'm in Worcester, Massachusetts at the Woo Ha Ha. You ever hear of that place? Neither have I. But apparently I'm there. That's where I'm going to be. It's a brand new comedy club called the Woo Ha Ha in Worcester, Massachusetts. Get your tickets at eddyift.com. That's eddyift, EDDIEIFFT.com. And come check me out. Also, I'll probably be stopping by CrossFit Center Mass. I do at least one day of CrossFit a week. How about that? I do some long training right now for some stuff I'm doing. And I'm doing some yoga. I did yoga today with Hunter McIntyre. That was insane. And we interviewed Dr. Jason of the Theragun afterwards. So it was a pretty fun episode. That'll be coming up in a few weeks. But hey, if you're from CrossFit Center Mass, get a hold of me. Come out and see me in Worcester. And next week I'll be at Laugh Boston. Let me know if you know good CrossFit to check out in Boston. I'll be staying right downtown at the, I think they call it the waterfront. And then I go to, that's Laugh Boston. I'll be there February 7th, 8th, and 9th. So it's Worcester. I'm 31st, 1st and 2nd of February. Then the 7th, 8th, and 9th, I'll be in Laugh Boston. Then I head to starting February 15th to March 17th. I will be in Adelaide, Australia, performing every night in the Garden of Unearthly Delights at the Adelaide Fringe Festival. And I'm in the Umbrella Revolution tent. That's a lot of information. But you'll see. If you're from Adelaide, you know exactly where I am. Come out and check me out. Those shows are great. And I'll be working out a lot at Mode CrossFit, which is James Newbury, who I want to congratulate, who won the Australian, whatever they call it. You know, everything's got a new name now. But he won whatever it was. Whatever it is, he's going to the games now. So congratulations, James. And I'll be hanging out, bugging you every day and going in your sauna and using all your shit at Mode. And hopefully James is going to do a couple episodes with us. And there's a couple other CrossFitters down there. Maybe we'll get Big Bobby D. I know he's not in Adelaide, but I go from Adelaide to Launceston down in Tasmania, doing a show down there on the 23rd of March. And then the 28th, 29th, and 30th, I'm at the Sydney Comedy Store. So get your tickets there. After that, I head to Edmonton, Canada. I'll be in Edmonton. This is like a world tour. Yep. I just booked Calgary, Canada, too. So I'll be in Edmonton at the Comic Strip on the 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th of April. Head to Las Vegas the end of April. And St. Louis, the beginning of May, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th. I'll be in St. Louis. Coming back to Hollywood, doing some shows there. And, I'm all over the place. I got Calgary coming up. I got New York City. I'll be in New York City this week too, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th. So send me a message, wadcastpodcast@yahoo.com if you're interested in coming out and seeing me or getting me to come by your gym. That's the best way to get a hold of me. And every week we give out a Myopux and a leopard claw to somebody who donates to the Patreon. This week, Jake Delphin. You heard it, Jake. And the new thing, what we're going to do is you're going to contact us after you hear that you won, or we will email you and say, hey, you won. And then we're going to give you a code. You just go to the Myopux website, put in the code at checkout, and they're going to send you a free one in the mail. And it's worth about, for the Leopard Claw and the Myopux, it's worth about $450 worth of stuff. So how about that? That's a lot of dough. That's a pretty good swag for a little show like the Wadcast to be giving you. I got all kinds of stuff to give out too now because our sponsors are getting really good. Again, if you don't know what the Myopux is, you must live in a cave by now, and you're not listening to the show. But the Myopux is a portable and affordable electronic muscle stimulation and TENS device, which increases blood flow. But most importantly, it removes the waste to help you recover more efficiently. The Myopux will also help decrease pain associated from overuse. And if you use it with the Leopard Claw, it's a game changer. Leopard Claw is a soft tissue multi-tool designed for versatile self-mobilization. And it increases blood flow also, but it breaks up the restrictions in the tissues and ultimately helps you move better. So the best way to do it is probably start with the Leopard Claw, knock out some of those restrictions in your tissue, throw on the Myopux, flush it all out. It's it's an absolute necessity these days with how much, if you want to move forward and keep performing at the level you're performing, you got to take care of yourself. And I found out a lot of this stuff from talking to Dr. Jason, from Kelly Starrett. So you need to get yourself one of these. All right, get yourself one. Just like what's his name? Jake Delphin did. Jake Delphin got himself one, and now you can get one too. I know there's one more thing I have to talk about before I start the show, and you're going, no, get started with it, because it is a cool show. It was really kind of weird going through. Michigan was so fucking cold. It was brutal. It was brutal. Hey, we also have a giveaway from Exo Protein, who I don't know if you've listened to the show before, but Exo is a protein company that we've kind of partnered with. That they make an interesting kind of protein, which is all the new craze. They basically have nutrient dense protein bars made with cricket protein. You heard me, I said cricket protein, and they make these protein bars that are the best tasting bars out there because they are not only the best tasting, they are nutrient dense, they're paleo friendly, they're gluten free, and they were designed by a 3-star Michelin chef. And so they're just delicious, and they're low in sugar, high in fiber, high in protein. Best thing to take after a workout or before a workout. Some people believe in protein before, some people believe in protein after. I just think you got to get your protein. It's a great way to get it. They also have roasted crickets that are high in protein, healthy fats, come in flavors like sea salt and vinegar and Texas barbecue. And it provides nutrition similar to livestock, with none of the, a fraction of the impact to land, water, and CO2 emissions. So you're doing something good to the environment. You're doing something good for yourself, and you're doing something good for our show. And we are giving away some Exo protein bars. So we will. How about this? Not only did you receive a Myopux and a leopard claw, this is your lucky day. How about that? This is, you guys give to the Patreon, and you're going to get all kinds of cool shit. So Jake Delphin, you're getting some Exo protein bars. How about that? You got yourself a Myopux, you got your leopard claw, and you got some Exo protein bars. This is your lucky day. You are, it's like Christmas for you, Jake. So send us an email at Yahoo, wadcastpodcast@yahoo.com. We're going to send you out all this swag. All right? I love that word, swag. Sounds like schmagma. Swag. Who says swag? And last but not least, I want to talk about For Athletics. We have kind of partnered with, not kind of, we did, For Athletics. I have a big announcement. Remember I've said that For Athletics has, they do leggings, they can do the co-branding with you, where they make 100% USA made leggings that when I say leggings, we're talking about the ones, the ones, yoga pants, Lululemon, the Beyond Yoga, those ones, the ones that, these ones are the one-stop shop for gym owners. Check them out, forathletics.com. Go there, and they basically will partner with you, with your gym, and they will make you their best-selling legging, which is the Rise Up High Waist 7/8 Omni legging. And they'll put your logo, your gym logo on there. You guys get it. Put your logo on there and brand your gym. Get it out there. People see how your hot-looking bodies that you're making at your CrossFit gym or whatever kind of gym you have, and they go, well, where's that place? I want to go there. And it's a good way to get the word out about your gym. It's a good way to help our show. Good way to help For Athletics. We all share in this one. That's right. So check them out. There's no upfront cost. You don't go, oh, we've got to buy 20 pairs or 50 pairs. You can buy one pair. You can buy 5 pairs. You can buy 500 pairs. And it's all at the low price, starting at $40 per legging. And this co-branding platform's been designed with you, the small gym owner, in mind first. So if you've got limited resources at your disposal and you want to, you want to go big, this is the way to do it, because you just get a bunch of people together in your gym. You go, how many do you want? They say, I want one, I want one, I want one. You got 20 people. Boom, you order them. And you've got them. There's no minimum orders. And it's just an awesome way to get your community together and get some camaraderie. And here's the best part. I said if 10 of you buy the Wadcast podcast ones, I don't think one person's going to buy them. Maybe Gordon Wagner. If 10 of you buy these and wear them, they've got them on the site right now. I think it's forathletics.com. Here's what it is. I'm going to put it on Twitter. I'm going to put it on our Facebook. I'm going to put it on our Instagram. But there is a link. And if you go to it and order a pair of Wadcast ones, if 10 of you do it, I will do all the open workouts. I can't believe I'm admitting to this or agreeing to this. It's a bad idea. But I will do the over 60 women's division open workouts. That's it. That's what I will do. And I will try to fucking beat all those fucking women. That's right. So order those up. And thanks for all the support, guys. Can't say it enough. And continue supporting. If even at the very least you want to help out the show, just go to iTunes and give me a comment, a rating, a review. Please make it 5 stars. Don't give me like 4, 3, or 2. If you're going to do that, don't even do it. Don't be a dick. But if you do like the show, go on iTunes, give me a comment, rate, review, comment, and continue checking out the show. And love your feedback. Love when you talk on Facebook, and love to hear from you all. And enjoy this episode with Greg Chapman. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Wadcast Podcast. I am Eddie Ift. I am at Doug Chapman's house here in Belleville, Michigan. I have done the introduction now 3 times. We are having some technical difficulties. We talked for an hour.
Dirty jokes.
Yeah, we do dirty jokes. I've been here for an hour and we've been talking some of the best shit I've ever heard CrossFit off air that we can't talk to you guys about. So sorry about that. And you're going to beg me, but I'm not fucking telling you, because that's what this show's about. It's if it's on the air, you get it and you listen to it. If it's not on the air, it's not yours. You know, there's got to be some secrets left in this business. But if you don't know Doug, he's one of the OGs of CrossFit.
You mean it's not all on social media?
No, pretty much everything is. No, people have their image and then they don't, but we'll get into that. I have so much to talk to him about. I feel like I know the guy already after just hanging out with him for an hour in his house. If you don't know him, go Google him. Check him out. The guy is some of the greatest athletes in the history of CrossFit have trained under him. He owned an affiliate, still owns an affiliate. One of the very first affiliates. I think you said you're.
I started out as that number 13.
Okay.
And now I think I'm number 5 or number 6. They had the affiliates wall in Wisconsin.
Wow.
And they show you where you were in the lineage. They used to do that on the website, but they stopped doing that.
Yeah. So I mean, we're talking OG, and I have trained under him once myself for a couple of days while I was doing shows at the Comedy Showcase in Ann Arbor, and he beat the shit out of me because I was late once.
Be on time.
Yeah, be on time. Yeah, you need that warm up, or you will make a fool out of yourself during an open workout like I did. Probably worst workout of my entire life, because I was not warm at all, going straight into snatches and pull-ups because I fucked up.
Hey, you ever seen the cheetah stretch before it goes out and kills a freaking gazelle?
No,
you don't. You be the cheetah.
Let me tell you something, what I've learned about Doug Chapman. He is as much of a man's man as anyone in the entire world is. This guy's into wrestling. He's into guns. He's into CrossFit. He drinks beer. He doesn't fuck around.
I actually don't drink beer anymore.
You don't?
No, I don't drink anymore.
Not at all?
No.
Alcohol out completely?
Well, it's funny. I have 2 bottles of very nice bourbon over there underneath the Christmas tree.
Oh, I didn't see that.
And they're nice. They're nice gifts. And you know what? They'll be around for probably 2 or 3 years.
How long have you not been drinking?
Well, since I got tired of being fat.
I quit 9 days ago.
Awesome.
I quit on New Year's or 10 days. I don't know what day this is. I quit. I was like, you know what? I'm going to try to go the whole, as long as I can.
I can't say the whole year. I've done a month before. Easy.
Yeah, so when you tell people you stop drinking, okay, people are like, oh wow, did you get in a car accident? Did you die? I mean, did you I heard no, I just start, I just was like, okay, I'm 51 years old. I like to lift weights. I don't like to, this also. So I started doing this thing. It's a brand new program. You've probably never heard of it because it's going to be on the internet. It's going to be huge. It's called CrossFit. And so what it is, it's constantly varied functional movements executed at high intensity. And I will share this with you because, fitness, you see little puffy little models and they're cute and they're a little sweaty and misty. And that isn't what it feels like. If effective fitness felt like orgasmic, then we would do it more.
Yeah.
But it hurts. It's like sticking a stick in your eye.
Yeah, it's painful.
But you end up being healthier and all kinds of good stuff.
So now you are still training some athletes that are, we're talking competitive athletes.
Yeah, a few. I'm actually trying to move more towards working with kids.
Okay.
High school age, mostly post-pubescent. And I would like to spend things in the strength and conditioning side, everything I've picked up over the last 15 years of doing CrossFit, and applying it to high school level athletes, maybe some college level athletes if they're so inclined.
So how did you get into CrossFit in the beginning anyway?
Pete Bobby. Pete Bobby is a Marine I knew from back in the day when I was in the Navy, and him and his buddy Billy came to town. They were going down to Crane to do some training or do some cross stuff. So of course this is directly on the way to Indiana, right? Mm-hmm. Not at all. This is like 400 miles out of the way or 200 miles out of the way. And so they saw that we're doing training wise and personal training wise at the time. And so Pete sends me this message. He goes, dude, you got to check out this CrossFit shit. So I get on the internet. Of course, internet was brand new. So I actually figured out how to use it. And Pete, he's like, oh, check it out. You'll dig it. So it's got supported military guys. It's got flags. It's got hard ass workouts, and they hate Globo gyms.
Yeah.
Which for me, it was like a total, it's a perfect storm, right? Because I was at the time, I'm dealing with these like douchebags at Bally at the time. And, so I pony up the $1,000 to go to Santa Cruz.
Wow.
And, I'm like, I'm going to do it. So in my,
you got a cert before you had even done CrossFit.
Well, I did a couple of workouts and they sucked really, really bad.
Yeah. Okay.
Like something, I think it was Cindy, or it wasn't even a named workout then, right? Yeah. It was funny because, I don't even think I think it was later that they named I don't know what the lineages and the girls were. So I go out there, I'm like, oh yeah. And so I go to this 3-day certification because it was a certification. It wasn't a certificate course at the time. Because they were totally bucking the system at the time. They were like, fuck you. We're going to do our own thing. We don't need to have all this permission stuff. And which also leads into how I became an affiliate, which is you're going to laugh your ass off.
Who was at your cert with you?
Oh my God. Andy was, Petronic was, Rob Wolf.
Wow.
Mike Rutherford.
Oh my God.
The guys that none of the newbie, it's like when you find CrossFit, it's like finding religion, right?
Sure.
Oh my God, I discovered this. This is the best thing since sliced bread. Oh my God, this is great. Remember Allison, New York City? Allison, good, fantastic. She was a token cute girl for a while, and then she did some other stuff, and then ended up going out to New York doing stuff. She's a nice girl, whatever, but she's attractive, whatever. They put her in front of everything. She's like, oh, look at this pretty girl. And she looked at me and goes, Greg Glassman invented functional fitness. I'm like, no. If anybody that had coined the term functional fitness was Juan Carlos Santana from the, what's the name of the thing? It's the human movement thing down in Florida. Anyway, but had a good definition of it. And that's totally in the weeds as far as like where originations came from.
Sure.
So we're at this thing, and this thing, there's all these guys, Greg Amundsen and, Adam Davila.
Was Amundsen teaching it?
No, nobody taught it. No, but there wasn't any teaching. They didn't go through progressions. They didn't teach anything. Oh, let's do a workout. It was 3 days.
And you guys are just working out.
And then they looked around to how many, they had like 80 or 90 people here. And they're like, "Oh, let's do this workout. How bad can we fuck people up? This could be great." And I mean, one of them was fight gone bad. No, you know how it was back then. It was like, now it's like this. Oh, anybody can do it. It's the best thing. And then back in the day, it used to be, "Don't be a pussy."
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
I mean, it was the way it was.
Oh, when I started, that's how it kind of was. It was, this is going to fuck you up. It's really short. It's really intense. You got to be elite to do this. And then the soccer moms started. It can be scaled for anyone. And it was like, whoa! I don't want this scaled. I want to be an elite
if a soccer
badass.
mom can do it, I don't want it. So we were out there and we did those 3 days of stuff. And Bergner did like a 3-hour, Bergner warm up with us, and it was the hardest thing ever. We're out in the California sun. This is February or something like that, and like being in Michigan, this is the tundra.
Yeah,
and we're out in this thing, and I got PVC pipe, and I'm like, oh my God, this is 1,000 pounds. And we're doing this classic Bergner warm up. And it was amazing. And John Hackelman was there.
Oh, wow.
And we did striking and all kinds of cool shit. And it was totally unscripted, right? Now, because of their ANSI requirements, they have to do a very consistent thing. It used to be every, certification, and I throw up my air quotes on that, would be, they look around who they had as instructors and who was going to present and, all this kind of stuff. And Glass, when we get out going and we just go on, and he's an amazing speaker and he's a genius and he's just got such a great witticism to him, right? And you could listen to him all day. Mm-hmm. And I was like, the first time I saw Greg speak, I was like, I felt like this. And like, it was like Jesus found me. Yeah. Oh, coach. Right. And I still feel that way. And, but anyway, we went through this whole thing, and I remember my son's mother went with me, and because I don't know what the deal was. She didn't want to do it. She just wanted to go to California. Yeah. So we did that. And finally, it was when they first started, like, I think they came out, and I said, "Hey," she came out, did stuff, and she goes, "Why are you doing this? This is dumb. You don't know anything about these guys." I'm like, okay. And like I told you about like why I was there. And I was totally like, before I went there, I was like, okay, he's got enough balls to put his shit out on the internet like this. Yeah. And he's also got enough to stand up for what he believes in. Cause it had those rest day articles, and they were just talking about stuff and ideas. And that's so rare nowadays in the United States that people talk about ideas and be able to listen to both sides of an equation, right? Mm-hmm. Both sides of an argument. And I thought it was fantastic. Just love it. And so I noticed that they started having affiliates, and I talked to Lauren Glassman, Lauren Janai now, and I walked up to Lauren and I said, "Hey, you got affiliates, right?" She goes, Yeah, I got affiliates." "How do you get to be one?" She goes, "Well, we got to think you're not a dick." So I'm not an easily intimidated person. Yeah. So it's like, I'm a little taken back. I'm like, well, if you don't ask for the sale, you'll never make one. Yeah. "Can I be affiliate?" She goes, "Okay." That was the whole affiliation process.
It? And did you have to pay anything at that point?
Yeah, we did. And I still pay the same amount, $500, all you newbies.
Your grandfathered into $500. That's hilarious. You say it was this cool thing. I think that's how everything starts. Everything is cool in the beginning, and that's why it sparks. And then it always gets bastardized, and laws get involved in regulations, and it kind of not ruins things.
Douchebags get involved.
Yeah, I mean, you look at like every music festival when people are like, "I was there at the first one. It was fucking crazy. We didn't have this. The cops weren't there." Da, da, da. And then just as it gets going, I always like things in the beginning. I used to like football a lot. I can't even go to football games anymore because there's too much advertising and too much traffic and too much this and that. And I used to like, like going tailgating in a parking lot, walking into a game, and there were no. It's just gotten too crazy. They're checking you for metal detectors. I can't do it. And so I feel like it's been ruined. So you always have to kind of find that next new fun thing that doesn't have laws.
Well, it's not just laws. There's, when have you ever read, what's the name? It's Moore's thing on adoption curves, right?
No.
He wrote a book called Crossing the Chasm. That's what it has to do with business stuff, which is cool.
Which is your background. You have a finance background.
And so I forgot what was Moore's first name. I'll think of it. I got a copy of his book in the other room. And he talked about, there's certain adoptions now you become mainstream. It's like, how many people now are doing CrossFit that weren't doing it in 2004? Okay. How big it was. There's 100,000 CrossFitters maybe in 2004, maybe. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's totally like letting out
worldwide.
There, right?
Yeah.
I mean, before I started CrossFit, I had a boot camp program that I had nearly 200 members in. Right. And I'm out there. I remember Jeremy Teal looking at me. We were in Colorado at the State Police Academy. And I'm like, yeah, I got 200 members. I'm doing this. I'm opening this business. And I'm like, first big box. Right. And he goes, bullshit. And I'm like, all right. Well, so I started posting. And this is how I ended up with a blog. I was going to do a blog. I wanted to have a static website because I knew better. Right. Totally sarcasm there. And so Jeremy's like, oh, yeah. So I got to start taking pictures of the people in my classes every day. In every class. And so 20, 30 people in every class all day long.
Right.
And so I'm like, all right, so now I have a blog and people love to see their pictures on the internet. And so I started doing a blog. I'm like, hey, that's the coolest thing ever. And Coach it actually was a time when you used to be able to talk to Coach because he's like such a busy dude now. Yeah. We would go out. I remember this conversation at Outback Steakhouse in Colorado. And it was Coach and me. I think Andy was there. Neil Thompson was there, and just got shithouse, just beard up.
Yeah,
beard up, which was good because in Vino Veritas, with wine there's truth.
Yep.
And you got to the real side of guys. And now he's the head of a big corporation.
Yeah.
And dude, I just love to go out and hang out and have a few beers with them and not talk about anything other than politics and other bullshit, right?
Yeah.
Politics and girls, right? What do you talk about? And that's, I'd even talk about religion. But, it's just, and it's sad because like he's such a dynamic person. In fact, actually, it's nice that I call Kathy, a sister, up whenever I have an issue with the affiliate or whatever. I was doing some work for Brick in Chicago for a while. And I just call Kathy up and she'll answer the phone. And you can't get a hold of Greg the way you used to be able to get a hold of him.
He's on his private jet going to the next place.
I don't think it's there. I think what it is that one of the things I've always admired about Coach Glassman is he's an evangelist, right? And, he's got this. Now he has a platform.
Right.
And he has a lot of followers. I remember they were talking about back in the day, it's get eyes and monetize, right? So you get a lot of people to look at what you're doing. Then you find a way of doing revenue streams off of it, right?
Yeah.
So you've created this good.
That's it's also I think it's Chris Anderson wrote the book All for Free, which is he wrote The Longer Tail.
Yes.
Yeah, and it was basically give it away, let everybody see it, and just keep giving it away, and then find a revenue stream in there somewhere that you can monetize. Continue giving away what you always gave away, but then added advantages to them that they're going to have to pay for.
And I'm not a subscriber to the whole socialist agenda of, oh my God, he's a bad guy. He's a business guy. He's making money. God damn it. If he doesn't make money, I'm mad at him.
Yeah. Everybody's got to make money. How are we going to live?
We're supposed to. And the thing is that
so go to wadcastpodcast.com, our Patreon, and donate. Donate, you fuckers. That's how I keep this thing going.
Given. So, so like now they have this, like now they've attacked. I mean, honestly, I must say this because it's kind of combative, right? But the NSCA had been the go-to group of people for information, and the CSCS had been the go-to thing. If you want to be a strength and conditioning coach, you got to be a CSCS, right?
What is that one? I don't know that one.
That is the training certification for the National Strength and Conditioning Association.
Okay, that's a different one than the one's the personal trainer one.
That's and there's an N in there.
I have one of them. I forget. I was a trainer for about a week.
They're useless.
Yeah.
The idea is that Coach had always said, and I'd always felt this also, is that I'd have these kids that go to study, movement science, and which I mean is a valid thing, and then they'd be programmed with, why can't you squat past parallel, which is probably the more of a cause, because if you don't go to below parallel, it's probably more of a cause of knee issues than going past parallel. Mm-hmm. Just saying. And I agreed with it, and the NSCA and all this stuff. And he's like, okay, we're tired of like the divorce study. Like my buddy Mitch Potter down in Columbus, that was his gym they did it at. And then they falsified the data on it. You remember that? The lawsuit they just won in NSCA?
The one about the injury?
Yeah, the injury rates.
Yeah.
Which is a total lie.
Right.
Because,
the one that was funded by Coca-Cola.
Yes. Yeah. I don't know if it was funded by Coca-Cola.
Well, Coca-Cola funded their organization.
So I knew Mitch from way back in the day, way back when he had this multi-level warehouse they were in, and now he's got this really cool place in Columbus. And he was telling me about this. He goes like, yeah, it's total bullshit. I mean, people just drop off of training, right? They just stop recording numbers, or they just stop coming to the gym. Something happens, pregnancies, job changes, travel, right? And so they falsifies the data on it. And I'm kind of paraphrasing a lot of stuff because they'd already won in court. And I'm not sure what the settlement had been, but then it ended up being a settlement. But without the support of Coach Glassman, who is absolutely an evangelist as far as good information and data, I think that he wouldn't have won. Right, that study would go on if it's not challenged.
Yeah, sure.
It's like any kind of you take the big debate about government shutdown right now, right? Okay, and you get all the mouthpieces in Washington spewing off stuff. And everybody says it's fake news or it's not fake news or somebody else is lying. So-and-so is lying. If they're a politician, they're lying. Okay. Just from my perspective. Yeah. But where's the data? And Coach Glassman will always go, okay, where's the study? So here's a study. Here's your controls in the study. And this is why the study is invalid, because you didn't do normative stuff or whatever. Sure. And that's why in things I've always admired him, because he's not afraid to pick a fight.
Yeah, that's great. Because a lot of people will just quote a study and say, this study said this study said that, and every study can be picked apart.
And having never read the study, people will do that.
Yeah, and that happens. I mean, so many articles are written based on studies. A new study shows, and it's like, well, did you just posted a whole article in the New York Times or one of these newspapers or magazines based on a study that there's so much more to it, and you didn't give the other side. I'm amazed at the stuff that they will continue to recapitulate or,
Well, what we were talking about earlier off cameras is when these kids I'm coaching in high school, right? They've never been punched in the face.
Yeah.
They will run their mouth all day.
That sounds terrible. We were talking off air about just punching kids in the face.
No. No, I'm talking about growing up. Yeah. Growing up, and nobody, like the stuff that people get away with on the internet, right? If you're in the same room, Jeff Martin used to say this, the people will be these gigantic 600-pound guys that just are badass until you're in the same room with them, and then they turn into kittens.
Yep.
And the idea is that, like, I'm looking at my wrestling team, right? And I honestly have probably, and that's the biggest problem, the nicest kids around. I mean, they're just nice kids.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't really want to exert their will over somebody else. And it's part of how we're raising these kids. No, you can't say that. Everybody's special. You know, like it used to be when you were a kid in Pittsburgh, we were talking about it. If somebody ran their mouth, all right, it's a fight.
Yeah.
And nowadays kids will posture, and they won't, they're not, there's no accountability for what people say.
Yeah. My dad raised me with, you never start a fight, but you always finish it. And, that was just the mentality. I was never in trouble for getting in a fight as long as I didn't start it. He said, if you started that fight, you're in trouble. But but he also was mad if I didn't end the fight.
It's true. It's true. But, that's one of the things I admire about Greg is that he will see something that needs to be done. I mean, the idea of that is now they're starting, but they just filed a lawsuit against, I think one of the health organizations for taking money in order to have the food pyramid the way it was.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know the whole details. I haven't read it, but I'm like, good for him, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, the movement away from the games and, cause like, which is the, the spectacle that is CrossFit.
Sure.
But that's not the reality that's CrossFit. And I saw this coming a long time ago because
tip of the spear.
Yeah, absolutely. Because ultimately the real issue that we have in the United States is our people are weak and soft, right? Mm-hmm. And we're getting bad information in terms of what they're putting out at medical schools, and if you're going against that viewpoint, you're automatically, ostracized and you're crazy and you're all this other stuff. And then later on you figure out, that was right. And they forget who started the fight to change things. And Glassman's been a part of that. I mean, attacking Coca-Cola Coca-Cola is one of the largest corporations in the entire planet. You know the size of the cojones that guy has? Gigantic.
I know. I'd be afraid I'd wake up with a bullet in my head. You know, like I would, when you see these corporations, how much money's at stake, and, you know, in history, some of the things that people do when money's involved, I don't know if I'd fuck with a corporation that big.
No, but then again, one of the really smart things is he's got a great staff of lawyers, and they're all evangelists in the same way.
Yeah.
You know, it's the thing about the Templar Knights, right?
Yep.
Nobody was a semi-Templar Knight.
You got to be full in.
You're full in, right?
Yeah.
You know, your vow of poverty, you know, you've given away all your stuff, of course, to the Templars, but, you know.
So you must be split on this, because you coach. I mean, you do everything now. You've got kids you're training and everything, but you have some of the best athletes that have ever competed in CrossFit. You coached. Yeah. So you don't have anyone?
No, I have a couple of people that are, you know, developmental. One of them just started as a you know, I mean, with the way that they changed the qualification process.
Right.
It's really eliminated the regional athlete.
Yeah.
So which is sad. Because I think that she could have been, you know, in the old process, you know, a games level athlete.
Right.
And it's hard because it just imagine that you're like, okay, you no longer qualify for the NCAAs.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
It's like, you know, now you have to be this now. And then plus the way that they're communicating it is they just came out with a rule book. Okay. Now, you have a kid in Guatemala that can qualify for the CrossFit Games out of his country based on those rules, right?
Right.
Who would never qualify to be in the floor of a regional.
Sure.
But going to the CrossFit Games.
Right.
It's like what was a bobsled team from
Jamaica.
But then again, those guys.
The swimmer, was it Equatorial Guinea? Was the swimmer that like the guys had finished, put their clothes on, they were out of the pool, they were like going back to the hotel, and he's still swimming.
Oh yeah.
And he was just the worst swimmer in the world. And then there was Eddie the Eagle, that was the ski jumper from England, from Great Britain. And I feel like that's going to happen in CrossFit, and they're all going to get wiped out in the first, you know,
first
event.
moment.
Yeah. I mean, they're going to walk in, and
but I mean, you know,
I'm wondering how many countries will actually have someone show up. There's 220 some countries in the world. I don't know the number, but I mean, are there going to be 220 people? There's going to be like 50.
No, well, you know what?
Because
I don't know if you heard the. I think this was attributed to Coach. He said that something about turning it into the Hunger Games at the beginning. No, I mean, it's like you know, your first event is you get to the island, right? You know, if you don't make it to the island, sorry.
Yeah.
But you think about it, it's like it's expensive. Like I would spend 10, 12 grand out of pocket to go to the games every year in LA. Wisconsin's a lot nicer for us, right?
Yeah.
One, you don't have the expensive hotels, and you know, I don't have to get a rental car. I can drive, which is phenomenal. And I love Wisconsin because I mean, honestly, the Midwest is so much more normal than the coast. I mean, you're a left coast guy.
Yeah.
You know,
we're weirdos out there.
Well, yeah, I have a whole commentary. You know, I'm a Midwestern guy. You know, it's like, hey, you know, the way it is. Hey, go shovel snow. You'll be all right.
I think you guys are weirdos living in this cold temperature.
Yeah, this time of year, yes, absolutely. Welcome to January.
It was 14 degrees when I came over here today.
Yes, it is.
14 degrees.
And what am I wearing? A sweat? I was wearing a pair of sweats.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
he's got on a hoodie and sweatpants. I had like hat, coat, gloves, thermal socks, long underwear.
Make sure you get a first aid kit to make sure I don't get, you know, like kind of gangrene and frostbite. But you grew up in Pittsburgh, so it's all right.
And I left. I was like, this is too fucking cold.
Yeah. So, but back to the games thing, it's you know, the process. Now there's 10 spots for masters, so versus 20.
Okay, I didn't know that.
That was something because I honestly I love the masters more than I do the.
So do I. Maybe it's because I'm an old guy, but I think that's a true test of fitness too, because you know, we were all athletes when we were young, and you could do crazy shit, but what can you do after you have no more testosterone?
Yeah.
And how are you going to live a long life? And so when I see masters, I'm just.
Well, the rumor is there's still plenty of testosterone.
I was just going to say.
Well, there's rumors because, like, I know, like, I asked one of my athletes competed in Dubai, and I'm like, so, because I was curious to see how the drug testing goes.
Yeah.
Because right now, unless they're testing people out of season, which I have not heard of. I know that they're supposed to register prior to. If you coach anybody that's been around a little bit and you've got a name,
right,
they'll come in and test you.
Random tests.
They will, and which is good, which keeps them honest. Mm-hmm. And there's been some legendary athletes that are like, in September or October, they're able to clean 225, but when it comes to the games, they're at 185 cleaning. Yeah, on the ladies' side of the house. And I'm like, wait a second, this doesn't make any sense because they weren't testing at the Granite Games. They weren't testing. And I think that's very important from our business is that we make sure that all the athletes are clean.
I hate to say it though, I don't believe a vast majority of them are clean. And I just,
I would argue
listening to too many experts and how easy it is. And in my experience of knowing enough people that have used drugs and, you look at someone like Lance Armstrong, who was tested tested more than anyone else in the world, never had a positive test. You listen to guys like Victor Conti from Balco Laboratories. You listen to these guys who created the drugs he created them. And too many of these guys, in my experience in track, it's just too easy. And like anyone says, when there's money involved, everybody's going to take every advantage they can.
Okay. Agreed, but disagree also.
Okay.
One is remember this is that I remember one of my athletes, she was like on Kill Cliff's everything, right? Booty shorts, the whole thing. And I asked her one time, so what are you getting paid by these guys? She gets $250 a month stipend.
Yeah.
Okay. Wait. Let me follow this along, right? So the only real superstars that you have in the sport in terms of money making, in my opinion, are either the token pretty people or the people who've been there. Like, I think Annie Thorsrud is phenomenal. I mean, she is the poster child for CrossFit, in my opinion. She's amazing. She's been around. She's been the most consistent athlete I have seen over the time. Her coach is amazing. Yami's fantastic. All the way around, just fantastic, right? She's a superstar. She can make a living from this, right? Now, if you look at what the Russians were doing, Dusty Highland?
Yeah, very well. We've had
Dusty's on our, he's subscribed to my programming, which is kind of funny because I tease him because he never posts about anything that we're training. But he turned me on to this video. It's called Icarus.
Oh yeah.
And I'm a finance guy,
won the Academy Award.
So my old buddy, his name's Avi Giladi. He has a plastic surgeon, hand surgeon guy, like totally thing. We used to play rugby with him. And actually, I played with him because I didn't know what I was doing, but he helped me a lot. But he had done, his undergrad was at Cornell, his medical school was at Vanderbilt, and so the guy's sharp freaking dude, right? And so I asked him like all the stuff that was coming out about drugs and not drugs and all that stuff, and he would tell me, well, this is what this does, and then the Icarus thing came out. Dusty turned me on the Icarus, which is on Netflix, and if you haven't seen it and you're going to coach or do whatever, watch it because it is a great education of what not to do.
Yeah, it's a great film too.
Yeah, absolutely. But state-sponsored doping is very different than the idiot down the street selling you something at Powerhouse Gym.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I think that the money they would take to take a CrossFit athlete and dope them, quote unquote, I'm the big air quotes, properly, and have them not get caught the way they were doing it with the Russians and probably with Lance. Because there's how much money is there in the Tour de France? Tour de France, a lot, a lot more than anybody's ever going to make in CrossFit. That's why I don't think that a lot of the athletes are on them.
So what about the ones that have gotten busted?
The ones that have gotten busted, hasn't been that many.
There was 13 this last. I think it was 13.
13?
Yep.
None of them in the individuals.
No, there were.
Not at the games.
Ben Gerard was an individual.
That was 2 years ago.
Yeah, but he was an individual.
He was, absolutely.
I think that there is. I think if you said to most competitive CrossFitters, saying games athletes, you said, "Hey, I have something you can take that is not an anabolic steroid. It will pass every test, so it's legal." But it's going to give you an advantage to winning the games. I think every single one, not every single one, but most of them would say, fine, I will take that. And I think that's what happens in the creation of these substances where they say to them, hey, this is a molecule off of, I mean, this is what Victor Conti said he would do when he was drugging Barry Bonds and all those guys. He would say, well, they test for this, but I've made it a molecule. It's a different drug. It's not a banned substance anymore. Do you want to take this? And they'd go, fuck yeah, I'm going to take that. It's not banned. I can take it. So I think everybody's looking for any kind of
How much money did Barry Bonds make?
True.
Okay.
However,
how much money does Joe Douchebag, that's going to do CrossFit regional athlete, right?
But Joe Douchebag, we're talking about people that will devote their entire life to a sport that they're never going to make money in. I mean, how many athletes are there? There's of the competitive CrossFit.
There's 7 or 8.
There's
right?
like 10 that are making making a living. And the rest are but they're devoting their lives to this. So that's why I'm saying I think they would figure out other ways to make money to pay for it. And I've looked into how much it costs for, just to take human growth hormone or testosterone. Really? Yeah, I wouldn't do it myself. I'm too scared. I
already have large orbital ridges and a sloping forehead, so I don't need to get any more like Neanderthal, man.
I just had Dr. Drew on last week, and I said about steroids and everything. He goes, I do them. I want to do them. And I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah.
So one of my buddies, right? He like Willow Run Airport's right here, right? My friend lives in Albuquerque, and he flies out of here for his cargo company, right? And so he just got his girl pregnant, right? And before that, he had low T, right? He's not a competitive athlete; he's a CrossFit guy, right? He's like going on and on about, I don't get sore anymore. I don't do this. I don't do that. I mean, and you're late 40s, right?
Yeah.
And which is, okay.
Sounds great.
Sounds fantastic. I love it. I can't tell you the last time my feet hit the ground and I didn't have something hurt.
Yeah.
And he's like going on. He's like, yeah, I'm going to get through the first trimester and then I'm going to get back on the stuff. Cause I guess you can't take it when he's on the patch or the gel or something, but it was prescribed to him and he's monitored by his doctor and all that stuff. I just don't, I think
they give it out. The doctors in LA give it out like candy. The ageist doctors.
Really?
And I have a buddy on it and he's like, man, you should see the loads I'm shooting.
All right, I'm in.
He's like, it's back to when I was like 18. He's like, it's incredible.
Wait a second. Time out. Hold on. Wait.
But what Dr. Drew and I were talking about, he said there's just not enough science and testing about like what are the ramifications. Like, because we were talking about, there is this idea of like human growth hormone. You take it, you're going to recover a lot better and you're going to be healthier, but it's actually going to make your life shorten. So what do you want to do? Which one is it? Is it, are you going to give that up for a better quality of life now? And that's a tough thing. When I was younger and I used to hear about it, I was like, oh, this sounds amazing. Why aren't we all taking this? And now I'm like, okay, this is pretty scary. I know enough people that do it and they're like, it's incredible.
That's medical through a doctor.
Yeah.
Good stuff, right?
Yeah.
So do you remember Ronnie Teasdale at all?
Very well. We've had Ronnie on the show many times.
Okay, so Ronnie wanted to do this big expose on Julie years ago, trying to say that she was doing all this stuff. And I'm like,
Julie Foucher.
Yeah.
Who was training. Your gym is her where she worked out forever.
And I remember because Lincoln Brown had been his owner, CrossFit Maximus. And I forgot how this all came back to me. I'm like, he, was doing all this crap. I'm like, you've got to be freaking kidding me. Julie is probably the most pure, honest, greatest person I know.
Yeah.
Okay. And this guy's going to try and make a big deal out of like her performances. And he didn't understand is that how hard she worked.
Right.
It's like when I write programming, right? So the programming, like if somebody signs up on my programming, here's the deal. Our level 4 is what it takes to perform at the games. Okay. So when you're a regional athlete and you got this gigantic ego and you're humbled by a 4.5 hour day or 4 hour day of training, you don't belong in the CrossFit Games.
Yeah.
What he didn't know was how much work she was doing.
Sure.
And then he was dating Andrea at the time.
I remember this.
And she got in the problem. She wouldn't post her scores because my mediocre athletes were performing better than she was because she hadn't been through a structured training program.
Sure.
It's the same thing as like if you go back to when you competed as a track guy.
Right.
Okay, so you're a fast track guy, you're running these hurdles, whatever, and you go through a hard day of training.
Right.
That kid that just got out of high school that's a freshman and you're a senior has no idea how hard you work to get those times.
Good point.
That's the exact same thing that happens in CrossFit. Now, it's got to be drugs.
Yeah, that's an easy excuse to go to.
It is. And the thing is that, somebody makes it as an actress in Hollywood.
Yeah.
How did she get there? Well,
she's blowing this guy.
Yeah. But that's what's always alleged, right?
Yeah.
Whenever you take a step away, you step ahead of the group, it is human nature to try and drag them back into the herd.
Sure.
And if there's anything that's out of evolutionary psychology that's consistent, it's that.
I think in Australia they call it tall poppy syndrome, which is they always want to cut down the tall flower to make it level with everyone else. And it's
socialism, democratic socialism. You can't be that good. You have to have cheated.
Yeah, yeah.
Go fuck yourself.
No,
envious bastard.
Look, hey, I like what Lance said. I heard Lance on Joe Rogan say, I was the best on steroids. I was the best off of steroids. Like he goes, if you took steroids out of the Tour de France, he goes, I would have won. He said, I was just better than all of them using steroids. And I feel like that's the truth. Like I don't give a shit. If they said to me, everyone in the game, they're catching guys in MMA all the time. All these guys doing steroids. I don't give a shit. I'm watching these guys fight in a cage and try to kill each other. I hope they're on drugs. I want them on drugs. Like that. I want to see.
But mostly on painkillers.
Yeah. It's funny. My father-in-law, Diesel, who played for the Eagles, he told me they used to give them Quaaludes after the games.
Yeah.
Back in the 70s and 80s, they were so beat up after a football game. They didn't believe in painkillers. They were like, here's a Quaalude.
I really feel bad because this is being back into a high school environment and training and doing stuff with the kids. One is they're soft. Second of all, there's nothing that they can't do that's not on a camera.
Oh, really?
Now, literally, you do absolutely anything. It is 100%. Somebody's watching you. Big Brother's there. We have in our school, it's a brand new school, right? They built this beautiful, beautiful facility. And at any moment, you tell me when something happened, they can pull up the camera on it.
Oh.
So they had this situation where, and this is me paraphrasing because I don't know all the details.
Oh, so like the school can say there was something that happened in this room. They have a camera in it. They've got a time stamp on
absolutely.
it.
On the buses, we got cameras.
Holy shit.
I got my first bus ride.
Big Brother is really watching.
You have no idea. And so like we have probably one of the best high school football teams in the state of Michigan, right? We made it to the semifinals. They had some injuries and some disciplinary issues and didn't make it all the way to the state finals. But they are a phenomenal team. Mm-hmm. So freshman comes in, joking around with the cheerleader, they're hitting each other on the butts, gets on camera, makes the Detroit News as sexual assault.
Oh, Jesus.
And these are not condoning smacking asses and doing that stuff.
Right.
But bottom line is it's now in the Detroit News.
National news. And
yeah, it's a big, Belleville High School. And it's total bullshit. Total bullshit.
Yeah.
And, and it turns out in the video, the girl was egging the guys on and hitting them first. And this is what I heard from the, like secondary or third from people. And, cause I was laughing, cause like I always tease the AD cause like I'm the outside guy and I'm doing stuff. And he's we have a very good AD. And I can't imagine what it's like to be in his job because every time a parent gets upset, why did Coach kick him off the team? Wait. I didn't kick anybody off the team. Mm-hmm. He hasn't been in a practice into 2 weeks, and he did show up for practice, and he was high. I shit you not. and Dad goes, well, I'll deal with it. And I'm like, and then I gave the kid another chance. Literally. The kid goes out, oh yeah, I gotta go take a test. He comes in, he goes, okay, go take a test. This is also different about schools. So I don't know if this is a policy of our district or whatever, but if you do badly on a test, you can keep taking the test until you get the grade you want.
What?
That's what I thought. So like, let's say that I'm, not paying attention in class and I I do what I'm going to do, right? Get a bad grade. I get a D. And I need a B in order to stay eligible to play whatever sport I'm doing, or whatever the thing is. And so now you can retake that test as many times as you need to get the grade you want. So the teachers are obligated to book a time after school or before school for that kid to come in.
This is insane.
I told you the kid, it's interesting. I would have never known this if I hadn't started coaching in the high school level stuff. And it boggles my mind because what lesson are you teaching? Oh, you just do over.
Right. Yeah.
It's like Fortnite. You know what it is?
It's not like when I came to your gym and I was late. I didn't get a second chance.
So I think as coaches, we're doing a disservice to these young athletes being gentle to them.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So last year, it was my rookie year, and my old college roommate tricked me into being the head coach, tricked me into it because his son is a neighboring school and wants to be there for his kid's wrestling career. Mm-hmm. So he's like, oh, come on. You know what? He totally guilted me. He goes, we don't know who will get in if you don't take it. I'm like, and I went to school here and I have some emotional ties to it. Did I say emotional? That was a lie. Total lie. And so I take this thing, right? And I'm like, I'm kind of digging it, right? So I'm like, okay, first thing we want to do is we want to make sure we're the same. You got to wear a practice uniform. Mm-hmm. Derek told me, he goes, you can't have a practice uniform. They won't ever do it. Oh, yeah, they will. So he goes, because like our community, it's very diverse, right? In terms of you have from socioeconomic group to racial groups. I mean, everybody under the sun goes to the school, which is, I think it's fantastic. Yeah. And he goes, well, a lot of kids are really poor and they can't do it. Right. Huh. So I'm like, so how do we get around it? Everybody's got a black pair of shorts, right? Everybody's got a white t-shirt. Congratulations, practice uniform. I shit you not. And I'm like, because automatically you say why something can't be done. I don't want to hear why it can't be done. Yeah. Let's figure out how we can make this happen.
Right.
And so last year it was a big deal. And if I see somebody not paying attention in practice, the whole team does sprints. Now it's against common good practice in current public school systems to hold a team accountable for the actions of an individual. I think through that, right? So you have one guy that's not pulling his weight, doing his job, whatever it is. It is against the rules. You need to do that person individually. Yeah. But that's the thing is that my girlfriend had been a counselor in this school and a teacher there, and she left that business to become a CrossFit trainer because of the cockamamie stuff they do.
Yeah.
What a great word, cockamamie, by the way. Great word. And so I have put rules for these kids because I think that not everybody's going to be a state champion. Nobody's going to be state qualifiers. It's a magical combination of athletic ability, discipline, grades, the whole above, right? But I can teach these guys. I can still tell you quotes from my high school coach that I will never forget for the rest of my life. Hey, you need to be self-disciplined. Little things. You think about the coaches that have impacted your life. It's you show up on time. Mm-hmm. 10 minutes early is on time.
Yeah.
You know what?
I know.
I sent kids home because they were late to practice. And then when you miss practice during the week, this is a new thing. Kids wouldn't come to practice and they would still wrestle them on either Wednesday or Saturday, right?
Yeah.
If you miss for any reason, excused or not, you don't wrestle the next meet. That's my rule. So if you're making my rule, because these kids don't understand consequences. They don't. You should see. I wish I had a picture of the look on your face. Right
I know, because I'm raising a daughter in this world, and I see it with my wife. Comes from that kind of background of spoil and just help them along with everything. And I'm like, let her fall down, make her get up, make her do it again. Let her, don't give her. I'm totally. It's funny. My mom let me do anything. My dad was super strict. And I used to think my dad was a dick and my mom is the greatest person that's ever lived. And as I've gotten older, now that I have a child myself, I went in one night when I was home at my parents' house And I said, Dad, I have to apologize. I said, I used to think you were kind of a dick, and I realized you were just overcompensating for Mom being so easy on me. And if you hadn't been like that, I would have been a bigger fuck up than I am now. And everything I've achieved. And when I first became a stand-up comedian, my dad said to me, he was giving me a chance to work for him. He goes, what do you have to do to become one? And because he was not happy about it. I said, well, I'm either going to have to move to New York or LA. And he goes, then go. And I went, well, I don't have the money. He goes, get it. And I said, well, I've got to get an apartment. And he goes, to figure it out. And I said,
I love your dad already.
And he said, go. And he said, I remember his words. He said, if you do this, don't you ever expect $1 from me. And I thought it was because he was mad that I was doing it. And he was like, screw you. I'm not giving you money now. And I realize now I never would have achieved or succeeded because it was the hardest fucking thing I ever did. If I went back over the stories, like collecting bottles to get money for lunch during the day, like while I was coming up through stand up because I was making $15 a set.
Hard to be cocky like that, isn't it?
Yeah. And I never would have pursued it and continued to pursue it unless he gave me, there was no alternative but to succeed. He said, there's no chance of failing here. You have no safety net. None. Go. And I was fucking terrified. And I did it knowing like I have nothing. And it was really hard. And it taught me to hustle every fucking day. To this day, I still hustle because, I'm up at 8 a.m. coming here to keep this show going because, every other comedian's sleeping until fucking noon. But that's because my dad didn't let me be soft. And I see it. It makes me sick. It's
a system, right? And this is awful serious for our fun conversation, isn't it? It's just, when I take an athlete on, right, whether it be my wrestling team, like I've got these kids that are doing private training with me. Their parents are doing them, and I grew up with their parents, right? And they look at me and like, man, you really don't take any shit from these kids. I'm like, no, none at all. Why would I? It's the same thing I think about my CrossFit athletes. Somebody wants to be on the program. I'm open to anybody coming on, but here's what you got to do. You do the work. Now, you realize that you don't want to be a CrossFit Games athlete because you don't want to do level 4 work, and then you make excuses. And that's what happens,
right?
Or they think it's like, oh wow, like, oh, that's too much. Like, no, you don't understand. You're training for the CrossFit Games. It used to be a little bit different because they didn't have the support system they have now,
right?
But it goes top to bottom. Listen, I'm not going to hold your hand. If you want mental and emotional support, get a fucking dog. You know what? Pet the dog. You'll feel better. Now get back under that thruster, right?
How much of these athletes that you've worked with is it ability, and how much is ability and how much is work ethic?
80% work ethic.
Wow.
Yeah. In fact, actually, I used to tease some of my athletes, and the level of athletes that come through my gym in Ann Arbor, when I was in Ann Arbor, Julie's not even in the top 10 athletically.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, because she'll joke around just like that, and I think about it, they have to have the discipline, work ethic to do it, and the thing is it's like standing on the porch and Fight Club. Mm-hmm. Do you really want to be here? Yeah. If you want to be coddled, there are other people, and you go enjoy that. You know what? If you want to have, I look at psychologically the way you do as a wrestler, right? And this is like you're an individual event guy, right? Mm-hmm. You go out and perform. You don't look at your teammate. You don't blame the guy that missed the block. Oh, the weather wasn't great and the ref made a call. No, you take responsibility for your own actions, and that is it.
That's why I liked individual sports growing up, because I was like, I don't want to have to count on somebody, and I also don't want anybody to have to count. Like, I want, if the shit goes down, it's my fault. And if it does well, it's my fault. I'm the one that caused it all. So I always had difficulty. Weirdly, I like Team CrossFit better. I actually enjoy watching the team aspect of it, but I think it's more entertaining to watch. But
I'm not a big fan of teams.
Really?
No.
I like it.
The reason is the 6-man team versus the 4-man team. The 6-man team, you had 8 people involved. And then, like, I remember I had this team down in Indiana. I made the team, right? And they had this one guy on the team that was super opinionated. I think that's a weird thing about CrossFit too, is especially amongst regional athletes more than CrossFit athletes. The regional athletes know for certain what it takes to get to the games, though they've never been there. Yeah. Oh, or they posture because they win a local competition and they're a big swinging dick. They're like, I'm going to be all this, I'm all that. And I think about this, there's this gym up on the north east side that always was like, we'd always make fun of them because they would always be like top in the regional in the open and then DFL on the end, right? In fact, where they never, the open scores, excuse me, bullshit. But there was a lot of, and the worst part is they're all good athletes,
right?
But they don't know what it takes to really succeed,
right?
In developing people. And now they're like, it just goes, right? I have a mediocre, top 100 guy that would have been on a regional level guy that now is doing program because he's the best coach in Detroit.
Well, what was your secret sauce? What's your secret sauce that you knew what it took to get them to that level? Because there's a lot of, there's some people, like, you can go to a gym and you see a guy and you go, holy shit, that guy's amazing. But he's only a regional athlete. Like, to get to the games is another, you're a 0.01 percenter. And did they find you, or, it's weird. You see like these guys who go down to Cookeville and they go train with Froning and that, and it's like, something's going to happen there. Magic's going to happen because they're training amongst the best in the world. They're committed to being the best in the world. And so were people seeking you out, or were you finding these people and just going, hey,
I've never recruited anybody.
Really?
No,
so they find you.
No, it's just, I call them ambulance chasers. Yeah. They are the guys that like, oh, wow, so-and-so's gotten good. Let's get after them. Let's get them under my flag. And then, built by whatever. Yeah. And that's, I don't do that.
You're talking about the trainers.
Yeah.
The coaches.
Yeah. And so they do that and they'll say what they have to. Oh, whatever. I'm like, get on the porch and wait.
Yeah.
But that's my personality. And also, I'm also, in my huge social media presence about how great I am all the time. Go fuck yourself. Right. It's, hey, look at me. I read a workout every day. And it's a lot of work for me to even put a workout on the internet because I think it's gay. I don't mean that in gay in the worst way.
I've said it a million times.
The way. It's like, it's,
I don't ever expect to be criticized for anything said on my show because I've gone everything you might say I've said 1,000 times over, and I also come from the comedy world of we won't get into the whole offense.
Well, what it is nowadays is like, I treat everybody as an individual, right?
Yeah.
I don't care what you do. This is as direct as it comes. Fuck who you want.
Yeah.
Okay. As long as they're willing and participant and they're above age 18.
Yeah.
Go have fun.
Yeah,
life's short, dude. The asteroid's going to hit any day. The last thing you want to do is not go after your new boyfriend or whatever it is. And I don't care, right? But, the colloquialisms we use are sometimes really have those hidden.
And then you get, it's.
Then it's ugly and, it's not true because that's not how I feel, right?
How about this? You want me to hit something controversial? Let's talk this subject. You don't have to address it. Glassman saying that allowing transgendered athletes into the games to participate as the sex that they identify with. Because I know it's a big deal in MMA, and I have my beliefs on it. I think, and there are transgender athletes that listen to this show. Where I'm going to have one on to talk about it, but I do have my beliefs on it. I think it's a really tough subject. It's a tough subject, especially when it's coming a man identifying as a woman that has that muscle structure and everything from.
What's going to be really humbling is you're a dude and you identify as a girl and Annie thrashes you.
Kicks your ass. Well, wait a minute.
If I
entered the over 60 women's division right now,
And you get a 50-50 chance.
I'd get beat by every one of them. So I don't call that humbling. These people are freaks of nature that can participate this way.
I'm really glad I actually brought something like this up, right? Because people will avoid controversial subjects, right? And they have these emotional responses. You have someone who is very religious that, they have their religious paradigms and they add it to what they think is correct and right and moral, right? Okay. And then you have the other side where, everything's a happy rainbow and we're all this kind of stuff. Now, let's stop and think about this. Is gender really fluid? What's science say?
Yeah.
I mean, we don't fly from coast to coast or putting people in the air, without science, physics, right? National stuff. Now, from a libertarian standpoint, is everybody's who they want to be.
Mm-hmm.
From a science standpoint, that ain't true.
Mm-hmm.
Now, where is the greatest part of your philosophy? And I'm going to pick on the concept of abortion, right?
Mm-hmm.
Abortion is going to go up. They're going to make another argument, right? And I think that Ginsburg's going to retire today, right? I think Ruth Bader Ginsburg will retire, which is going to basically set everybody free as far as their opinions about abortion or not. So here's the deal. So you can be a person that's anti-abortion, pro-life, like the semantics there, pro-life, anti-abortion, whatever. You can be a person that is pro-life, but vote pro-choice because you hold the individual right higher. So if it is in an actual with the Roe v. Wade thing is more of a right to privacy than it is
it's funny you say that. That's probably what I am. I'm not pro-life in that. It's very complex, and I think people simplify it. You're pro-life, you're pro-choice. No, there's a very complex issue there. I believe that it's what constitutes life? Is it at 12 weeks when brain activity starts, or is it when the sperm
when the swimmer hits the egg, baby?
Yeah. So is plan B abortion? Yeah. I mean, some people consider it, some people don't. I have a joke on stage that I say, there's all these gray areas. And I think, I personally think it depends on the circumstances. Like if you should be able to abort a child or not. Like I think you should be able to abort a child up to 2 years.
I'm thinking more closer to 12.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Especially if it's on an airplane and it's crying.
So let's stop and think about that too, right? There's all these we don't tend to one of the things that I know my kids in high school they don't get moral conundrums. Okay,
right.
At least from my experience with them, because they're woefully ignorant of any of the topics.
Sure.
So they're not being taught, or they're really that not paying attention in class.
Sure.
Which, that's a tough one.
Yeah.
So here it is, moral conundrum. Woman chooses, man and woman have intercourse, have a child, right? Woman chooses to keep baby. Now she has half of that man's income or whatever the thing is for as long until the kid's 18.
Yeah.
Man doesn't want to be part of it. It was just a random thing that happened. Irish car bomb, skinny dipping in the lake. Guess what? Child, so be it. That happens. Okay. Now, the state holds the man responsible.
Sure.
Now, the woman chooses to abort the child. He doesn't have a say in it.
Yeah, good point.
But she has a say on his income.
Sure.
Does that seem asymmetric to you? Now, and I'm not saying there's an answer there, because I don't think, the courts really, I think, are working to do the best they possibly can, given what they have. Now, you take this transgender
Bring
thing,
this
right?
back to transgender, yeah.
I think Coach is a big libertarian. He believes in individual. So if you want to identify as a furry, that's a thing.
Yeah. I know all about it.
No idea. The Canadian Kates came down
amazing.
and they were like, this is a furry. It's a real thing. I'm like,
conventions and everything.
Yeah. Guys, I shudder to think how weird I would have been if I would have been born right now. Like I would have expressed all of my weird stuff I had going on more than I already did. But I understand where Greg's coming from. Will it change the outcome of the CrossFit Games?
No.
So I wanted to I texted Castro a while ago about this is about a year.
We say that, but what if it does? What if some transgendered woman comes out and just crushes every other girl in the CrossFit Games?
So Austin Maliolo is now
Andrea Maliolo.
No.
Yeah.
Ostina.
Yeah, Ostina. Okay, so let's say Ostina Maliolo. How do you say his last name? Maliola. I can't ever say his name.
Maliolo. There's two kinds of people in the world today. Those who are Italian and those who wish they were. Okay.
Let's say Rachel Froning.
Rachel Froning.
Rachel Froning wins the CrossFit Games. Okay? Rachel Froning crushes everyone. You don't think there's going to be a fucking riots in the streets of Madison?
No. The reason is this. Remember, this is Coach's private business. Mm-hmm. Okay. If it were a public business, public ownership, publicly traded, it is his business. He decides what goes on.
But it's weird. He's down the health avenue now. Like that's where he's going. It's almost like he's out of the games completely. Why would he have even made a judgment on this?
This is something that, in my limited interactions with the man, I think he's making a decision. Hold on a second. Hi, honey. I'm getting an interview right now. Can I talk to you later, baby? I'll be here. Just come in, just be quiet because we're getting recorded, okay? All right, bye. She's really awesome. She puts up with my shit.
Girlfriend?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But I mean, I think that, it's as I'm gender, because like I remember this before this whole LGBT thing got all big, right? I was the only place in Ann Arbor that I was told this, because one of my gay customers had, that recognized partners as families.
Oh, okay.
And this is 2006. Okay. Wow. And because I think it's immoral to discriminate, because like you treat everybody as an individual. It's none of my business.
Sure.
If
I agree
you're attracted
with
to chicks, dude, if you're, whatever you're attracted to dudes, you're an omnivore. I don't care what you are. Yeah. Right. That doesn't affect the fact that I'm going to try and make you move better and work on your health. Sure. Does not affect it in the least. Now,
shouldn't be anyone's business either.
It isn't. Yeah. And I think so. Like people who carry the flags run around, I think it's obnoxious. Yeah. Hey, I'm straight. Let me run around my flag. I'll get rocked, I'll get stoned. Right. I think it's immoral to discriminate based on that. Yeah. And that's kind of things. Now, if that does affect the outcome, it's coach's responsibility to deal with it. It is not my business. Yeah. If I'm training a transgender, whatever, I don't even know what to say on it. I'm like, it's sad because I'm so indifferent, right? Because if you're an individual, you want to wear a dress, dude, knock yourself out. You want to be a furry, knock yourself out. I don't care. What I care about is how respectful you are to other human beings. Sure. How honest you are, what kind of integrity level you have as a person. I just don't want you to say, to get a job, it would probably fry me if somebody was a transgender person for the games and then decided not to be transgender afterwards.
Well, that's what I'm wondering. There's so much to it. There's so many layers, and I don't know. It's too much. It's a whole other podcast that we could get into, and I don't want to take up much more of your time, but I want to. There's a couple of things. You got rid of your brick and mortar. How come?
Honestly, they just get tired. I just lost the passion for it.
It's hard. It's really exhausting.
I lost the passion for it, and one of the things I had done as a strategy was there's a couple of ways you can, strategic things, right? You can be a low cost producer, or you can be a niche market. Mm-hmm. Okay, low cost producer, you got very thin margins. Price points are very important. Whatever your niche, your specialty things, you don't go to your $200 eye waxing person or whatever they do, because like girls do that stuff in their nails and the whole bit, right? Because it's cheap. Yeah. Because they really like so-and-so and what they're doing. So my first strategy, I wanted to have the highest quality training, and I had that for a very long time. Okay. And there's really no place for employees to go in a privately owned business. And it's sad because I had these guys, at one point I had actually okay, let's play around with compensation. And so like normally we were paying $25 an hour per class, right? Which is
for your
above
coaches,
the the market norm, right?
Right.
And then I said, okay, so each time we hit a revenue level per month, they got a $5 bonus.
Right.
And so these guys were getting up to $55 an hour.
That's great.
Per class. Now, there's only 48 classes or whatever the number is per week. So where can they make money? So this is one of the things that's among CrossFit. I think it's one of the greatest weaknesses of CrossFit as a business is none of the people are effective personal trainers. Very few. Because if you can handle personal training, then you can handle a group class. Mm-hmm. But we have people that are used to our normative stuff in group classes that can't handle personal training. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this really, really nice kid from Indiana. So this is the way I would indoc people, because I wouldn't have this throw them in class and see what happens stuff. So, and they had to have a minimum level of competency for the class. This goes into the whole package. And so everybody had to do 10 private training sessions prior to joining classes. Mm-hmm. And they have a curriculum that was there. And then if they didn't hit the curriculum, they did more training sessions, right?
Gotcha.
Yeah, because you can't, I had everybody that came into my gym when you came in, like in 2014, right? All of my customers have more experience than 90% of the CrossFit trainers. My customers had more experience than the trainers that exist in CrossFit.
Wow.
Top to bottom.
Yeah.
Top to bottom. And so I remember Susie Bowers. She actually was the architect that designed this area here when I redid my house. Fantastic lady. And she would send me a text message every now and like, hey, this new one is good. This new one, this one needs work. And it was really nice. But I mean, this kid, like I give him like, so you want to join my gym? I did a vetting process on everybody. I'm a huge on that because you shouldn't just be entitled to come. You need to get on the porch first.
Yeah.
So you had to read the website. Website doesn't have a phone number on it. And then you had to follow my steps. Now, if you're not intelligent enough to send an email and request an intro appointment, you're probably not going to fit in.
Right.
Okay.
Wasn't that Glassman's kind of concept from the beginning of make it tough, make it difficult for people?
Why do you think I love the guy? I love the guy, right?
I tell a story on the show. I went to New Hampshire CrossFit one time when I was on the road, and I couldn't find the gym. And I'm like, where is this gym? And I kept seeing it on the map, and I could find it, and I saw there weren't names everywhere. And people go, well, how'd you find it? I go, I had to climb through a window. I climbed through a window to get into their class. And I said, and then when we did the class, we had to go for a run. We had to climb out the window and then back in. And people are like, what the fuck was that? And
I love that.
I go, but it kept out the people that shouldn't be there. And, I wanted to be there so bad. I climbed through the window. And that's what I liked about CrossFit was it was all window climbers, people that would climb through the window to get there to do it. And now, there's one in every shopping center. And that kind of bothers me about it
a little bit. So there's back the process, right? So somebody would send an email, and when I got their email, I would immediately respond, when do you want to come in?
Yeah.
Okay. Set an appointment. So it got to a point where it's like, I had a whole series of really good guys I spent some time with. They all they went down the street and started charging much less and offering money to, like, hey, I'll give you 20% off. You leave, all that stuff happened.
Right.
Cannibalism happened.
Yeah.
And honestly, I lost my passion. So it wasn't where I was like, I don't want to deal with this
anymore. You don't
anymore.
want to fight that fight.
And, some of the high school stuff that happens amongst large groups of people.
Sure.
So that happened. But anyway, back to this kid. And I would give him, he was an intern, and I would give him a client. Hey, Eddie's going to come in at this time. Are you ready to go? And so he'd do an intro, and it's very well scripted, and they were trained in how to do it. And he wouldn't say a word during the intro session. All right. Thanks. Wouldn't ask him if the guy liked it. I mean, it was a thing is the kid did not have a thing, but I needed somebody to do it because I was shorthanded. Right. So I try to develop people as to being professional trainers. Sure. Right. And so they would get training sessions, and we would exchange. Like, for instance, if I close some business on a client, I would schedule you with him because you're going to be one of the trainers. You want to be familiar with whatever maladies, issues, their process, right? They have to have, because like if you're going to render physical service on somebody, I should know whether you have any pre-existing conditions.
Sure.
Whatever. So that process was a way of getting people on board, and also a transference of culture. Mm-hmm. Culture is, we are like, it was funny is that I was talking to Jennifer down from Kentucky. She's like, was mad that they took the scaling options off the .com. I'm like, Coach Glassman, I think the reason Coach Glassman directed them to do that was because he wants the experts to be in the affiliates, not on the .com.
Gotcha.
And which is good for business for us. But at the same time is, if you have to be told how to scale a workout, you should not be in a CrossFit class. You should have already been through personal training and trained. I had a guy that it was an Australian dude, needed a shoulder replacement. Mm-hmm. Went through intro sessions, literally could not lift his arm up, right? Whatever. Yeah. And as we were doing classes, he was well trained in how to, in the intros about how to scale. If he had a question, he would ask. So I'd look at him like, okay, what are you doing to scale today? He would tell me what he was doing to scale around his injury because I educated him on how to deal with it.
Sure.
Not, here's the tit. Yeah, suck on it, please. You'll be all right.
Yeah.
And that's it, is that you want to create autonomous individuals.
Sure.
Like, it was fantastic. Like, for instance, about Julie, coaching Julie. When you go to regionals or the games, right, they have a schedule and they're very good at keeping it. So here is, your heat's going to be at 10 a.m. What time are you going to be in the warm-up area?
Yeah.
You back out a timeline because they're going to put you in corrals, right?
Right.
So one thing that made her so successful, in my opinion, was her ability to follow a plan.
Oh, wow.
The people who are like, you want to see a huge variance in performance year over year are people who can't follow fucking plans.
Interesting.
That's my opinion. All right. And what I've observed over the years is that if Julie would come in and like, okay, and this is literally it. So she was well trained early on, and I'm like, I'd just be standing there. Okay, what time are you gonna do this? At this time. What time are you gonna do that? At this time. I mean, everything was. You don't need to have somebody that's holding your hand throughout the whole process if you've been trained right on how to process it.
Sure.
You think about Bill.
That probably helps with her. She medical school. She's a doctor now.
Yeah, she's a medical doctor.
Yeah.
But
that background probably helped her with being very
I think that
organized.
she was the right person for the type of training I do. Right?
Sure.
There's honestly, there was a lot of very needy CrossFitters that will never, it just won't work.
Right.
I had a master's athlete get third twice. She's way too needy and needs somebody to be right there with her all the time. I'm like, I love her to death, but Jesus, I'm the wrong guy.
Yeah.
That's huge. Got the third podium twice and just needs to have somebody more there with her.
Yeah.
That's an issue, right?
Yeah.
But it's so what's going on. So you have to apply. And it's like, if I have to coach you at regionals or I have to coach you at the games, like on how to do something.
Yeah. The coaching's over at that point.
Yeah. I have this little kid I trained, my buddy's kid. He is one of the top wrestlers. He's a 9-year-old or 10-year-old kid, right? Super good. His name's Meyer, right? Kid can do chime pull-ups. I put the chimes up. He does pull-ups on the chimes, right?
Wow.
And super good kid. And he got picked to do this big wrestling meet up in Lansing. And I've known his dad since like early 80s, mm-hmm. right? He goes, "Hey, will you coach him there?" I'm like, "Yeah, but I don't know any, and I don't know. And two, he should be on autopilot. If I have to tell him to do something on a wrestling mat, it's already too late.
Yep.
If I have to, there's some levels where, hey, step over the hurdle.
Yeah.
Get over the hurdle.
Yeah.
You're an idiot. Yeah.
So in closing, kind of this, you're in the wrestling thing now. You've still got an affiliate here. Do people come take classes here?
I don't do classes anymore.
No classes at all.
No.
So it's all personal training.
Yep.
And then you're training mostly like young athletes and
old people.
Yeah, old people. No games athletes.
They never hear that because like they're the two of the sweetest people I know. Like a couple of people I know.
Nobody that is potential games athletes.
The only time that they really come around is when they're in panic mode. Prior to the games, I had a couple of teenagers who would come down, and
I'm surprised Hunter McIntyre hasn't gotten a hold of you.
Why do I know that name?
Hunter's the OCR guy, obstacle course racing guy. That's very, very good, and
where's he out of?
He's out of LA. He lives near me, and he's probably the top OCR guy one of the top in the world, and he's committed to being a CrossFitter, but has no Olympic lifts. And Hunter, I'm talking about, he listens, so he's going to give me shit for this. But
so that's a unicorn, right?
He's a freak of an athlete. I'll give you that, Hunter. You're a freak. And he goes and trains with Jacob Hepner, and he goes and he tries every workout, and he will go do the open and crush everybody in a couple events. But he's lacking some skills and some mental ability.
Oh boy,
he's a nutcase. He's one of my best friends. I love the guy. However, every person that I interview will be like, "Yeah, I was talking to Hunter," so I'm surprised he hasn't hit you up.
He might have sent me an email because like a lot of times I won't answer an email until they email me twice.
Hunter, maybe you need to come out and you could throw him in the lake. Behind Doug's place is a lake that's probably 30 degrees right now. 30.
Oh, it's got ice on it.
Yeah. There's. Oh, is it iced over?
Yeah, it's late. It's iced over now. It's a very thin layer.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, it's funny you talk about Hepner. Hepner was one of my favorite athletes to work with for a while. Yeah. But that guy's absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, like literally, he is like probably the nicest, whatever. But he would try and do my entire programming like back to back to back, and then throw in this crayon thing. And I'm like, I just couldn't deal with it because like it was funny because I have a hard time putting my name on an athlete if they're not going to do what I ask them to do.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, well, enjoy, move along.
Was he one of those? And I know these athletes exist where you gave him your programming and then he wanted to do more.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And did.
Right. And so I find I find that's not trusting your coach. And I learned my lesson with that when I used to run. And it's funny. I just had this discussion with Buddy Morris a few weeks ago where I said I sucked at the beginning of the year. And I would tell my coach, I'm like, something's wrong. And he would say, shut the fuck up and listen to me. And by the end of the year, I was winning and breaking all my records. And he said, I'm teaching you to peak. And you're going to be at your best performance at the end of the year, not at the beginning of the year, but at the end of the year when you need to, when the qualifiers and the sectionals and the, everything's happening. And so I had to shut up and trust my coach. And I don't see a lot of that because there's so much, the internet's,
There's you have to deal with so much, and there's popularity, right?
Yeah.
Performances to me matter. Popularity doesn't. Okay. Now it's funny. Like I have the one thing that like it's people have to move well. I mean, not just well, very, very well in order to handle any kind of games level training, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. And the reason is the volume it takes to become a CrossFit Games level athlete and be competitive. Qualifying, it used to be qualifying. The bottom third of the people in the games probably shouldn't have been there anyway, right? Because somebody in somebody else, other region was probably better than you were.
Sure.
Okay. But when you see movement faults, gross movement faults, huge valgus knees as they're coming up and they're just not having to control it. I mean, their technique and their lifts, but it tells me they're not drilling and practicing. How many times did you do a walkover where you stepped over a hurdle? Mm-hmm. And when you're at the top, like we are a freshman or whatever it is, it's a big deal. It's a new thing. When you're a senior, you got this down, but you still have to do it. Mm-hmm. I have this whole thing. It's called a competitor's complex, right? It has to do with barbell and it's basic movement stuff. And what you're supposed to do with it is you video yourself doing it 3/4 angle and you look for movement faults. Empty bar, maybe 75 pounds. I have clear plastic laminate plates to be able to look and see where bar contact is and all that stuff, right? So I can see it. It's not huge, but if you, it's like drawing, like when I think about learning a new skill, you have to break it down with fundamentals, and those fundamentals will not change.
Right.
And so if I see you always flexing early to pull the bar to your hip, you know what? Maybe it's popular because there's a couple of really high-level weightlifters that do it, but the vast majority people who are effective weightlifters don't do that. So you need to be able to power program and retrain that. That was one of my normal warm-ups. You know what people don't like? They don't like to do consistent stuff.
No.
They don't. I mean, it's like if you see somebody who never really locks out, they're it's like this. I'm not saying who it could be, but
I know you're looking at me because I have that problem too.
But the thing is, why? The thing is longer term. Where are you really going to help? And it was nice is that when athletes come to me after they've been someplace else, whether it be an affiliate, wherever, chances are they haven't laid down the fundamentals the way to my standard.
Okay. When
that happens and you go to a high volume or like a CrossFit Games level volume, you are going to get hurt.
Right.
And I mean, not hurt in the sense of surgeries. Is you're going to have all these aches and pains. They're transforming up and down your chain that you don't know why they're coming there. And it's because when you lock out a heavy jerk that your arms are soft and that maybe you don't have a shoulder engagement. Maybe you haven't been coached in it. Maybe you got your girl has got 225 pound clean with absolutely horrendous technique. Yep. You're going to have heartburn. It's gonna hurt.
Yeah.
Now, if you do everything right, you're still going to hurt, but you're not going to have chronic, truly terrible things. Right. So this complex was supposed to be done for AMRAP for 5 minutes, almost every day.
Yep.
So as a warm up to any barbell skills you would use. I mean, really, if you're not proficient with a barbell, you're not a CrossFitter.
Yeah.
You're still a CrossFitter. That's totally extreme, but you're not quality.
I get your point.
I've seen a girl, and this is one of the things I would talk to you about drugs and Castro. When I think somebody's on drugs, they go from cleaning 155 to 245 without an increase in technique.
Interesting.
You see it. We have a girl locally here that went from cleaning 185 with shitty technique to 250 with shitty technique and didn't improve. And all of a sudden she's, got big traps and the whole bit. And I'm like, yeah, she's on. And then Dave's response to me goes, is she going to make an impact in the region? I'm like, no. He goes, don't worry about it.
Yeah. Good point.
And I'm like, all right. Which I think is that the outside chance that somebody like that qualifies, now you have, they pop positive. Now everybody thinks CrossFit's all dirty, which it's not.
Yeah.
And then we're full circle back to drugs, right?
Sure.
But back to it is that if you don't focus on movement perfection, you're in the wrong thing. Mechanics, consistency, intensity. Mechanics, everybody talks about it on their website, right? What systems do you have in place to ensure mechanics? How do you teach? What are the progressions you're using? I mean, when you get an athlete, I can think of a couple athletes. I think they should have been games level athletes a couple of times by now that have significant movement faults, or they miss seasons because of injuries. I can think of one particular about never fix their valgus knee as they come out of the bottom of the clean, and they are getting stronger all the time because they're lifting. And all of a sudden, oh wow, I have to have a knee surgery this year, or no, I had this going on. I can't reach over my head. I can't do the handstand put. Whatever it might be. All that stuff happens when they don't adhere to mechanics, consistency, intensity. It's still not going to prevent you from ever getting injured,
right?
But it's going to prevent you from having. I think, but that's if you don't do it my way, that's bad.
So are you going to be at the games this year?
I think so. I know it's a long way away, dude. Yeah. It's like as soon as I can get out of the tundra, I'll be all right.
What is Julie Foucher doing these days? She's just being a doctor.
A doctor thing, and her husband's got this was it WebMD?
Yeah, I think they created some new doctor, kind of like paleo doctor type thing.
I don't know. They're too busy. I haven't talked to them and seen them in a while.
She still trains pretty hard.
I think so. Yeah. I don't know. And honestly, I don't know.
Yeah.
That was we haven't talked in a long time. In fact, actually, they're busy being adults.
Yeah.
They're adulting.
Your job is done.
Way done.
Yeah.
Way done. It was done in 20, honestly, it's like they were already made, but I know that this is like Danny's like second or third business. He keeps trying to, he's a serial entrepreneur.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he keeps trying to do all this different stuff.
I think she's in Cleveland because I was going to Cleveland. Somebody's like, you should get a hold of her. But I can't thank you enough for doing the show. This was awesome. Thanks for bringing me in and showing me the it's funny, all you expert guys that I find, it's all lots of books, and that'll tell you something. If you want to be an expert like these guys, go out and start reading.
You saw the Dunning-Kruger effect, right? There's a graph out there. It's like when you think you're an expert.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think I'm an expert. I think I'm.
Yeah.
I'm still trying, right? Yeah. And like I just got the latest books that are out there about behavioral stuff, about training. There's not a whole lot of new training stuff out there.
No.
I mean, there's not, unless humans spout another joint epigenetically or whatever they're going to do. It's like, oh, wow.
Well, you are an expert when it comes to the CrossFit. You've got guys that have done well and won the CrossFit Games, and that's more than it hasn't been around. How many years have we had the games now? It's on
2007 was actually 2006 was.
Foucher won in 7 though, didn't he?
Oh, who won in 2006?
What? There was an earlier winner?
You didn't know this?
No.
So they had at CrossFit North in Seattle.
Okay.
They had the original CrossFit Games.
Okay.
And it wasn't really called the CrossFit Games because that was Dave's thing. And they had all these guys get together to Dave Warner? Dave Warner's place in Seattle. And they're like, had all these people drive up to Seattle, and they all worked out and they pushed sleds and they did stuff, and it was like this. And then Castro came up with the games in 2007 afterwards.
Wow.
Didn't know that?
No.
No, look it up. It's in the old CrossFit journals.
Okay.
I mean, like ancient.
That's hilarious.
Maybe I should be an archivist,
Somebody should, because this thing is pretty crazy, where it came from, where it's going. Anywhere, if they want to get a hold of you, anywhere they can find you.
They better. No, I'm not going to hit it out there, because you know what? If they really want to find me, they'll find me.
You got it. That's the way to get them. Again, can't thank you enough. This has been an honor. If you guys enjoyed the show, go to iTunes, rate, review, comment. Also, go to our Patreon at wadcastpodcast.com and help out. Thank you to Troy at Myopucks and Leopard Claw. And I don't know who else to thank, but check out my show schedule at eddyif.com. I got shows everywhere. And the Australian tour is happening. I'm coming over February for 2 months. So
you need a bodyguard for that?
Yeah, I do.
Really? I mean, honestly,
I love the Australian stuff. So
I'm in. I got my passport here. Here's my passport. I shit you not.
Australia is so much fun. Come out to the shows. I'll be in Adelaide, Launceston, Sydney. Short tour this year. I'm only doing 6 weeks, I believe. So get your tickets now, eddyif.com. All my dates there. Other stuff, Boston. Coming to Boston and in February, and New York City. I'll be at the Comedy Cellar. So check out all those dates. And that's it, guys. So have a good week.